Hello again, it's Dr. Swanberg. We're talking this time about fact versus opinion, which seems like it might be easy, but it actually can be kind of confusing, especially on tests when you're faced with statements and you've got to decide which is which. So we're going to run through these things. Part of the reason it's confusing is that a lot of people don't really know what a fact is. A fact is something that can be proved to be true or untrue by looking it up, performing research, or verifying with observation. Hold on to your hats, folks. Even an incorrect fact is still a fact because you can look it up and discover that it's wrong. Okay, so even a wrong fact is untrue. I could say everyone in this class is female, and that's a fact because I could check and find out that I'm wrong. So if you can check it and verify it, whether the answer is true or untrue, that's a fact. Okay, a couple more things to remember. Even if it's a fact that is upsetting or surprising to you, it's still a fact. Just because you don't like it doesn't make it an opinion, okay? So if somebody says, Obama's the president of the United States, that's a verifiable fact. You may not like it, but it's still a fact. It doesn't make it an opinion just because you don't like it. Even if you do not believe that the state of Maine still has a law on the books prohibiting beating your wife with anything thicker than your thumb, it is still a verifiable fact. You can look at the laws of the state of Maine and find out whether it's true or not. All right, when you look a fact up online, you get an answer, not a debate. And that's a good test of whether it's a fact or an opinion. For example, if you Google, how long does the APA recommend children rear face in cars, you will find out that they recommend children rear face until 2 years of age. You get an answer. What do they recommend? They recommend they rear face till 2, and that's a fact. Nobody's debating whether that is really the APA recommendation or not. You look it up and it either is or it isn't, so it's a fact. Let's take a look at some correct versus incorrect facts. Here's an incorrect fact. The moon is made of green cheese. Okay, it's a fact. Whether it's right or wrong, it's a fact because we've checked. A correct fact is that scientists have samples of the lunar crust and take measurements of properties of the moon's surface. The crust consists of 43% oxygen, 20% silicon, 19% magnesium, 10% iron, 3% calcium, 3% aluminum, and trace amounts of other elements including 0.42% chromium, titanium, manganese, and small amounts of uranium, thorium, potassium, hydrogen, and other elements. That's not cheese. It's the moon, okay? But whether correct or incorrect, both of these are facts. They are facts not because they're both true, but because we can and have checked the answer by collecting and studying actual pieces of the moon. Okay, here's one more example. Fact, I have blonde hair. And here's my picture from my profile on Blackboard. Now, despite the very clear truth that this fact is wrong, it is still a fact because you can check and verify. The correct fact of the matter is I have short brown hair, which you can also verify. So right or wrong, it's a fact if you can verify it. Here's a list of facts. Most of them are even true facts. Peanut butter contains peanuts. 50% of the population in the United States is female. Now, I don't think that's a true statistic. I made that up. But we could check. We could check the census from the most recent census report, and we could see what the percentage of male and female is in this country. So if you can check it, it's a fact. The word savvy means experienced and well-informed. Check it in your dictionary. Donkeys are not horses. Look it up. You will find an answer. They are not horses. My dog is female. Again, you are welcome to check. You can order children's shoes from the internet. I know because I've done it. The World Canine Organization currently recognizes 339 different dog breeds. You can go to the World Canine Organization website and find out whether that's true or not. The APA recommends that children rear face in cars until the age of 2. Now that is true. If you go to the APA website and look at their recommendations for car seats, you will see that that is indeed what they recommend. Let's take a look at opinion. An opinion is something that cannot be verified no matter how much work you put into trying. An opinion is a matter of belief or faith and cannot be proved. No matter how much you believe in the rightness of your opinion, if you cannot verify it, it's still an opinion. No matter how many people share your opinion, if you cannot verify it, it's an opinion. When you look up an opinion online, you don't get an answer, you get a debate. For example, Google, how long should children rear face in cars? And you will get endless debate between outraged moms whose answers vary from 12 months old to 4 years old. And no matter how many facts you toss into the debate, you'll probably never change any of their minds. People get really entrenched in their opinions and they become really convinced that it's true. But remember, truth is not what makes something a fact. If you can look it up and verify it, or do a research test and verify it, or observe and verify it, then it's a fact. But everything else is opinion. If you can't verify it, no matter how right you think you are, no matter how much you believe it's true, it's still an opinion. Here are some opinions. Online students are the best students. Now, no matter how much and how strongly I believe that, I can't prove it. There's no way on earth to prove that. It's an opinion. Online classes are better than ground classes. Now that's an opinion because some people would hate online classes and really love ground classes. But for people who are taking online classes, they might be worlds better because they can fit them around their schedule. Now, I truly, truly believe this. Dr. Swanberg is the best person in the whole wide world, but it's an opinion. You might have the opinion that Dr. Swanberg is evil. No, that's not true. True or not, it's an opinion. Some people have it. Everyone should use sunscreen. Now, we might believe this very strongly, but it's an opinion. God saved my life when I was 7. Now, this is a tough one because we feel very strongly about our religious beliefs, but religion is very, very hard to prove. In fact, if anyone had been able to prove religion, well, they'd write a really long book about them and call it the New Testament. All right. Dogs make the best pets. Dogs make the best pets. Now, we don't all agree on that. That's a matter of opinion. Children should rear face until they're 2. Now, that's the recommendation of the APA, and it's a fact that they recommend it. But it's really just an opinion. It's an opinion based on the APA's research. It's still an opinion. We're going to talk about that a little bit more in a second. Expert opinions are still opinions. Okay? If your doctor says, your cholesterol's a little high, that's a fact. He can check that on a test. But if he says, I think you should cut back on bacon, well, she's probably right. We're paying her to be right. She went to medical school, but it's still her opinion. If a scientist says, I think global warming is the scariest thing facing mankind right now, we should probably listen to his research facts upon which he's basing his opinion, but the statement is still an opinion. If your best friend says that sweater makes you look like a big fat pumpkin, you should probably trust her. She's seen you in a lot of sweaters and wants the best for you, but it's still just her opinion. You get that orange sweater if you want it. If the APA's research has led them to recommend that children should rear face until 2 years old, we should definitely pay attention to that. But even that is an opinion. I know. You're gonna bear with me because there's a matter of articulation between fact and opinion that can really make a difference. Sometimes it all depends on how you say it, whether something turns out to be fact or opinion. We're going to take a look at a couple of statements first that are stated as fact and then are stated again as an opinion. Fact: sunscreen will reduce a person's risk of developing certain skin cancers. We've done medical research that shows this to be true. The statistics are in our favor. It's a fact. We can look it up. Opinion: sunscreen is good for you. Now, good for you is where it becomes an opinion. It may reduce some people's risk of skin cancers, but sunscreen has a lot of chemicals in it, and some people with really sensitive skin may react to those chemicals, and it's not at all good for them. So that's an opinion. Fact: diabetic bodies have a harder time processing complex carbohydrates than bodies without diabetes. That's a fact, again, backed up by medical research. You can look it up, understand diabetes and what complex carbohydrates are. But when you rephrase it, complex carbohydrates are bad for the diabetic body, it becomes an opinion. Some diabetics really do quite well with complex carbohydrates as long as they're balancing them with a protein and keeping them to a regular serving size. So they might not all be bad. It's a matter of opinion. Fact: the APA recommends rear-facing your child's car seat until age 2. This is 100% fact. As I said, you can go onto the APA website and see what they recommend. You can check that that is indeed what they recommend. But rephrase it: opinion: children under 2 should never forward face in a car. No, there's no way to check that. You can look at the research and see what people recommend. You can take the expert's opinion, but really, it's just an opinion. See, you can check to see if the APA recommends it and the first statement, but you can't with the second. Now, just because something is an opinion doesn't mean that we shouldn't listen to it. A lot of opinions are really important, and they're based on research we ought to know. So let's not discount an opinion, especially an expert opinion, as something we should simply ignore. And this is where it gets really difficult. Sometimes we like to mix things up. We like to mix fact and opinion in the things that we say. We like to tell our opinions about the facts. So in the statements below, I've marked opinions in red and facts in yellow. And let's see the combination. I think it's terrible that Hillary Clinton voted to close fire stations in New York City after 9/11/2001. You can check the record of her voting in the state Senate and see whether or not it's true that she voted that way. That's a fact. Whether it's terrible or whether it was a responsible vote is an opinion. I am impressed by Hillary Clinton, who is currently on a national tour promoting her book. It's a fact whether or not she's on a national tour promoting her book right now. You can go onto the internet and see if that's what's really happening in the world and verify it. Whether you're impressed by that or not is a matter of opinion. We like to give factual reports of other people's opinions as well. If we say something like, yesterday CNN reported that Michelle Obama believes that childhood obesity is a major problem facing our nation, then we can check with the CNN archives and see if that's really what they reported yesterday. That's the factual part. The opinion is that Michelle Obama feels that childhood obesity is a major problem. That's her opinion. In another example, it says, Bill Maher called Fast Food Nation a terrifying book about how much fast food Americans consume. Now, there's a couple of pieces of fact here. One, you could check the record and see if Bill Maher really talked about this book and really said what he said. You can also check about whether the book Fast Food Nation is really about how much fast food Americans consume. Those are both facts. But the phrase terrifying book is an opinion. It's Bill Maher's opinion about Fast Food Nation. Let's do a little practice. Are the following statements fact or opinion? In a notebook, make a little notation that says fact or opinion next to each one of these. I'm going to color code them yellow or red, but you should probably just write fact or opinion. Pause this presentation for a minute and see if you can figure out which of these statements is fact or opinion. I'll give you a head start for pausing by reading them out loud. The fastest land-dwelling creature is the cheetah. Michael Jordan has a career average of 30.4 points per game. Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player of all time. McDonald's sells more hamburgers than any other restaurant chain in the world. Prison is one of the worst places on the planet. It is wrong for people under the age of 21 to drink alcohol. KFC has engineered chickens that do not have beaks and are double-breasted. Pause it and we'll evaluate. Let's see how you did. Fact or opinion? For facts, we have the fastest land-dwelling creature is the cheetah. Michael Jordan has a career average of 30.4 points. McDonald's sells more hamburgers than anybody else. And KFC has engineered weird, gross chickens. Those are all facts. We can check those facts and see whether they are true or not. Opinions include Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player of all time, and no matter how firmly you believe it, it's always going to be an opinion. Prisons are one of the worst places on the planet. I don't doubt that, but it's still an opinion. And people who have been in places they think are worse than prison will tell you that that's an opinion. It is wrong for people under the age of 21 to drink alcohol. Now, that is an opinion. Now, if it said it is illegal for people under the age of 21 to drink alcohol, that would be a fact. But it says it's wrong, and that's a moral judgment, and that means it's an opinion. We are ready for the recap. A fact is something that can be proved to be true or untrue by looking it up, performing research, or verifying with observation. An opinion is something that cannot be verified no matter how much work you put into trying. It is a matter of belief or faith and simply cannot be proved. All right, that's the lesson for today. Remember that if you need to go over the material again or slow it down and take some notes, you can back up to the beginning and watch it again.